Here we are in the Orange and Brown Talk podcast, recording this on Monday, the first day of the NFL's legal tampering period. Look, let's just start here. Jarvis Landry is no longer a Cleveland Brown. It's not a surprise, really. I mean, we've been talking about this for a while. We've mentioned that it sounded a couple times like Andrew Berry was saying goodbye to Jarvis Landry. There was a chance that maybe a restructure could have happened, but obviously that did not happen. The trade, of course, never came along either. So I guess there's a few ways we can go with this. I don't know if anybody wants to say an emotional farewell to Jarvis Landry, but I'm curious what you all think about kind of what this means about the direction of the Browns receiver room as we move forward. Because right now it's a pretty thin room. It's Amari Cooper, it's Jamarcus Bradley, Anthony Schwartz, Demetric Felton. Rashard Higgins is still on the roster page, but he's probably not going to be around. There's not a lot going on in this receiver room. Donovan Peoples-Jones, of course, as well. And I'm sure I'm forgetting some of the important, but it's not a very complete receiver room. So Mary Kay, I guess, what does this tell us that Jarvis Landry is no longer a Brown about how they're going to approach this rebuild of the receiver room around Amari Cooper?
Well, I still think that they're going to draft a receiver fairly high, and it's a pretty deep class. So I think you'll see one or two receivers come in the draft. You might even see another receiver trickle in as free agency goes along. But I think you'll see a pretty significant one come somewhere in the draft, depending on what happens with their number 13 overall pick. If they still have it on draft day, I still think that you can look to that pick and think maybe a Garrett Wilson is coming, or maybe a Drake London is coming. If they don't have that pick, maybe you can get somebody really good still in the second round, maybe another one in the third. So they're not done with the receiver room yet. You will see more.
Scott, how many receivers do they need?
That's a good question because as we've noted, they don't have three of them on the field as much as other teams. Look, they went through over half a season last year and at least half a season in 2020 with Donovan Peoples-Jones as that quote unquote second guy. If we're calling Jarvis Landry, the first guy there. So you need two guys you can rely on a lot. And I don't know why Donovan Peoples-Jones wouldn't have an opportunity to be that number two guy right now, other than the fact that he's not really as versatile, maybe moving inside and outside as you might want. But at this point, I can't see them. They're not going to bring in somebody that's going to wow you as a free agent receiver. Definitely not Christian Kirk, my pick. Oh boy, he's making almost $20 million a year. That was a lot more than I had anticipated when I had him going to the Browns. But yeah, it's going to be somebody that's here. That's maybe they're banking on upside, something like that. But beyond that, I think that 13th pick certainly looks more like a receiver at the moment.
Yeah, I think they would be comfortable if Donovan Peoples-Jones is their third best receiver and Anthony Schwartz is their fourth best receiver. So that means adding one more person in the draft or otherwise. If somehow it turns out that Donovan Peoples-Jones is their second best receiver and Anthony Schwartz is their third best receiver, that feels like putting too much on them. I would not be comfortable with that. So whether it's one more free agent signing or just a first or second round pick who you are inserting in the starting lineup right away, I think they're one away.
I'm trying to decide how comfortable I am with where you put like Anthony Schwartz, Demetric, all these guys, where you kind of put them on the receiver depth chart. I still feel like, so if you have Amari Cooper, if you draft a guy at 13 or even at 44, I still feel like there's a piece they need to add in free agency. I still feel like there's another guy out here, whether it's via trade or via free agency. And I'm not talking about like, let's take a flyer on this guy for a couple $1 million. I feel like there's a real, not a $15-20 million player, but I feel like there's a real guy in that second or third tier that I still think this roster needs, even if you draft a guy. And I don't know if that's, is Laviska Shenault going to become available? Is that a guy you could bring in? Is DJ Chark going to be out? There's got to be somebody. I still think there's somebody in this equation that they need to add to that room on top of drafting someone high.
Is his name Rashard Higgins, Dan?
You're asking the wrong guy that question.
Just kidding. So yeah, I see what you're saying. I think they probably could use another experienced veteran. And I actually think that when all is said and done, they will probably add another veteran. And I still think that they're going to do something very significant in the draft at receiver. Again, either with number 13, maybe they trade back into the first round. Maybe they move up a little bit into the second round. It's deep enough that you can find good guys there. So I still think you'll see two more guys, significant guys, come onto the team.